Hotel Staffing and HR, in conjunction with PatriotTV.live, bring you Play Harder Radio, the premier patriotic sports and BS talk show from America's Gulf Coast. Things that matter in the world of sports and things that don't matter to anyone. It's just Faja's opinion. Where the F-bomb is allowed, but frowned upon. This is Play Harder Radio. And now, your host, James Grant.
You are on.
All right. Welcome back. I mean, seriously, welcome back. I've been a loser. But not so much. I'm not always, not completely. You know, I've been traveling. Dan Begley with us again tonight. Dan, are you out there?
Dan, you should be. Dan is muted.
Dan,
I'm unmuted now, yeah.
Right on. How are you, brother?
Awesome. Right
on. I love it. Did you hear what? It's funny. What?
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you. You're just like Shakespeare. You're a wordsmith.
Right. I just said I've been traveling. Then I was like, whoa.
No, you said loser.
Well, yeah, and first. I said loser.
Yeah.
So we got it. So
you just got them reversed a little bit.
Right. But it's still all, man. Ooh, you know what? You can't see the, are you on a laptop or your phone, Dan?
I'm on my phone. I can't do it on the laptop because of just the equipment. But I can't see you. I can only see you and the screen behind you.
Right on. Awesome. Well, we're trying to figure out some other technical shit where we can see each other or see what's actually being showed to the people.
Let me do something.
Yeah,
like
I never
Facebook.
get to
Let's
see
not try
that.
and figure it out tonight, but whatever. Anyway, before the
wait. If I do real quick, well, it's going to cause feedback though. I'd have to punch that computer up and watch what I think will happen.
Don't do it.
I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. That is
Todd.
Yeah.
You see Talladega Nights?
There we go. Now, do you see that? He should see it here.
I see it.
Do you see yourself?
Okay, but I see myself and I see a whole bunch of different stuff on there.
Yeah, so
it's not pretty.
No, not pretty. So, but it's a nice try. I see Dan like 3 times on there now.
Right.
You know, the problem with this is you can't see me.
Yeah, that's the important part.
And we got an ego problem now.
That's right. We're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway.
So I see you.
I see you. I see you. Is that a COVID reference?
Could be. Could be. Depending on the severity of the case.
So before Todd muted us because we wouldn't shut up for the intro, we were talking about music and you said what?
I said if you wanted to have a different intro song, you could think about a particular Seeger song, which I named, and we won't say it because you may want to use it later. But you said
you could say it. Though.
It's called No Man's Land.
And then I said, you know what, my favorite. And I said, I'll come back to you. I'm not ignoring you, but I'll come back to your song because what I have to say is more important to me than what you said to me. Because I follow the 7 habits of highly effective people, and one of those is seek first to be understood and then understand.
Okay.
It's backwards, right? Seek first to understand, then be understood. But I'm having trouble with all that. 7 habits of highly effective people, how to win friends and influence people.
I think the win friends is probably the biggest one.
I'm like, you know what? I saw how to win friends and influence people on my dad's bookshelf from the time I was about 10 years old, forever. And then my daughter finally got me to listen to it about 5 years ago, and I'm like, you've been being such an asshole for the last 45 years.
talking about
More like
yourself.
55 years.
Talking about myself. I'm not 65, mother.
You just said 4 or 5
Since I was
years
10
ago.
years old.
Yeah, but okay, I get it. So you became conscious that you were an asshole at 10 years old, and you
No, I
now
didn't
know
become,
you were.
I didn't become conscious that I was an asshole until I was 50 some years old, that I'd been an asshole since what? Since I was
you were
10.
10.
Yeah. But I think it went long before. I think people were thinking that about me long before 10.
Well, I could say, what's the first thing you did that you can remember that makes you think you started to be an asshole at 10?
I don't remember specific verbiage, but I was always sarcastic.
Oh, okay. More so or less so than you are now?
Probably about the same.
So you're steady. You're consistent.
Somebody said, yeah, you know what? And we're going to talk about that. But I went to my first 10-year high school reunion, and somebody goes, "Who's that?" And they're like, "I don't remember his name, but he had a really big mouth."
Well, you know what I remember about my 10-year reunion, maybe many people probably feel the same way, was everybody that showed up, and it was a lot. We had a huge class, 700 and some kids. So probably 80% of the people showed up, and 100% of those 80% were absolutely, positively just rocking and rolling in life. Everything was great at 10 years.
Yeah.
Then you go to the 40. I go to the 40 a few years ago, and it's all back down to earth.
Right.
Life has hit you, right? So it's kind of interesting when you see it that way.
Right. Yeah, it's
so go back to your original story.
Oh,
so
I go, you know what songs I love? And I go songs. And Dan goes, I would say you probably like Traveling Man and Beautiful Loser off the Silver Bullet Live album.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just got goosebumps from a man. I hate to admit that, but I just got goosebumps from a man.
Well, if you ever see him, he's probably never going to go live again. I think he's done, but
Who, me?
I saw him
Or
with
Bob?
Not you.
See, I'm always
Bob. He did a few years in a row and did it pretty heavy, but that segment of his show, I've seen him multiple times.
It's awesome.
It's worth the price of admission.
You have to go listen to it. Listen to Traveling Man and Beautiful Loser back to back. And so then when the show came on, subconsciously, I wasn't even thinking about that conversation. And I said, I'm finally back after being such a loser this month. I've been traveling. And then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Time out.
That's why I called you a wordsmith, because you made a play on the previous conversation.
You know
Very
what?
subtle.
I'm I take advantage of the moment.
Yeah. You're an opportunist. And you're very
Opportunist.
consistent.
I just got a message from Beardo. If you're not watching, I want everybody to watch on patriottv.live/playharderradio, if they would. Beardo just said we got some new features coming over the next week to be looking out for. So I can't wait to see that. And Beardo, I don't know if it's changed or not, but the chat seems better than the last time. I don't know if Scott Bergon's watching and some of the Facebook people, but I'd love to have you over on Patriot. I'd love you to come on patriottv.live and check us out there, because that's where the opportunity has really been brought forward by Beardo and the guys.
Well, and for no other reason, if Facebook started to become an issue with censoring, at least people would already be over on Patriot.
Right.
Because
do you think people will start censoring things in the United States, like,
information and stuff? Do you think that's going to happen? I wonder.
Yeah. So I've noticed here recently with the Facebook that I used to be able to take articles off the internet and post them directly.
Right.
It seems like that function is not working so much anymore.
Well, yeah, that's because an independent news source is not is not acceptable.
Well, yeah, I sent you. I don't have Todd's phone number or email address, but I sent you. Somebody sent me an article about Ireland. 91%. I'm not trying to change the subject or anything, but this is something you're not going to see on our venues.
I got it. I printed out the little quote on it too. Go ahead.
Yeah, 91% of the population is vaccinated, but the rate of infection is skyrocketing.
Y'all might hear something
in Ireland.
This has been a game.
Okay, there.
Can you play the? We were talking about censorship. Play number 2, the middle one. It should be number 2.
Well, you're gonna have to keep talking.
All right, you tell me when it's ready. Speaking of censorship. Yeah, Dan, Ireland now has the highest number of patients in hospital with COVID-19 since March, despite over 91% of the population over 12 being vaccinated, the highest jab rate in the EU.
Yep.
Wait a minute. How can that be?
It's not working.
So, you know what, Todd?
Yeah.
Which are you? Tell me what. Let's play number 2 and then number 1 and then number 3 and just tell me when you have them ready.
2, 1,
and
3. Okay.
These clips that I'm going to play. But speaking on this, this was on Twitter that what I just read, that the article was centered around. And it was out of the Irish News, October 27th. So.
Okay, hold on. Here we go.
Hang on. Here we go. Here's one.
Censorship of scientific discourse like we cannot believe.
Hold on. Is that the beginning? Right, here we go. I'll start at the beginning.
We are having censorship of scientific discourse like we cannot believe.
That was it? That was all of it? That
yes,
was the whole
that's
clip.
all. Shh.
Okay. It just seems like very short. Go ahead.
It was.
Okay.
I have a plan.
Okay, well, good. Now, which one did you...
So we're having censorship of scientific information like you cannot believe. That was Dr. Peter McCullough speaking in, I believe it was October, this month, to the American Association of Physicians and Surgeons. 500 physicians and surgeons who are not denying the viability of the therapeutic options that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind-boggling that they're withholding all this shit, and especially shit like, okay, tell me when you have number 1 ready.
Okay, well, I can have it ready, but I just wanted to tell you the chosen phone is entering the waiting room. So I don't know who that is.
Well,
it just says the chosen phone. I'm assuming it's
Kellie.
Kellie, but it's kind of early, so I didn't know.
It's fine.
So go ahead and admit her.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I need to pull Dan down for a second because it's going to reformat the whole screen here. So, I'm going to let her in real quick here and just see if that is her.
So yeah, Dan, they are, and I'm surprised, that this article got on Twitter, that they let that out. But if it was on Facebook, it would come with a little note of,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you can't have
our
any
friend. This is our other friend. This is. Hey there, how you doing? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Who is it?
I like him. I can't remember his name. He's the Saints fan in Pensacola. Hey, how's it going? Yes, we hear you.
All right, sweet. What's up, guys?
Not much, man. How about you?
Not much, man. It's been a long time, dude. How you been doing?
Good, John. How about you? I'm good, man. Just talking a little politics and shit.
Yeah, I heard the last little bit of it. Like you were saying something about Simple Man. Were you talking about Leonard Skinner?
No, we were talking.
No.
I don't think we said Simple Man. We were talking Bob Seger, Traveling Man, and Beautiful Loser, and Dan. What was your song? Seger song?
No man's land.
No Man's Land.
Okay, yeah, I never got into Bob Seger too much. For some reason, when you said, for some reason, I thought you were talking about Leonard Skinner too. But I had like a funny story about Simple Man Leonard Skinner when I was a kid. My parents, how old was I? Like 11 or 12. My mom and dad took me to see Leonard Skinner in Mobile, and I think Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Paul Rogers opened up for him. And it was that day where I actually saw my first pair of boobs from a woman. Some girl came up and flashed the crowd right before Skinner started. So Leonard Skinner will always be kind of a memorable band for me because of that moment.
I would say that would be a lifelong love affair then.
That's a great band too, even with Johnny Van Zant singing for him. I think they do a good job with what they're doing now. I mean, considering you have to replace damn near the entire band from a plane crash, which was awful. But
what year was it that you saw your first set of titties?
Well, let's see, like whenever that concert was. So I mean, it was
When you were 10.
I was older than that. I think I was 12 or 13. I'm 35 now, so it's been a hot minute, but it was around that. Yeah, it was around that time, I guess. I know it was that concert. That much I remember.
What a
it was.
What a precious
So
moment.
I remember the first time that I saw my boobs in person too.
You saw your boobs in
Or
person?
saw boobs in person, So my first time I saw boobs in person, it was French boobs.
I'll tell you a story since John we'll get back on track with me ranting and raving about John.
No,
you know what?
No, let's talk more about
John,
boobs.
you son of a bitch! You called in and you completely derailed me.
I'm sorry. I haven't had a chance to be on the show long because of work and whatnot, so I just figured I'd jump in when I could.
I'm glad you did.
Perfect.
So I'm in Santa Monica about 5 years ago.
And you saw your first boobs? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Don't derail him again.
I'm trying. Let me compose myself.
There you go.
Anyway, I was in Santa Monica and I was out on the pier and there was this older lady sitting at a bench and I sat down and started talking to her and stuff and I guess it was Free the Nipple weekend down the beach at some other pier or something like that. The feminists were all getting together to ban bras or whatever the hell was going on or whatever. And she goes, and I'm like, are you going down there? And she goes, no. She goes, if I wanted to see saggy boobs, I'd go home and look in the mirror.
Yeah, I've heard that one before.
So she was just refreshing and fun, and yeah, she was cool.
Very nice. I like it.
What
Yeah.
else is going on with you? Did you see? Here, I'll give you something that we can talk about, that me, you, and Dan can talk about. All right?
Sure. All right.
The Blackhawks situation.
Dude, yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Are you
Blackhawks.
are you familiar?
Well, depends on what situation you're talking about. You're talking about the fact that they've had kind of a rough start to the season, which granted, I don't think that really matters. Hockey's a long season, but what other situation?
It matters. It matters. Believe me, it matters.
Dan is a Red Wings fan. John, by the way, if you remember, Dan is a Lightning fan. But Dan, can you kind of summarize the situation with the Blackhawks?
I'll do the best I can. There's been some rumblings for quite some time about an incident that took place during the 2010 run for the Stanley Cup. And essentially there was a alleged sexual assault of a young player in the Blackhawks system, not on the roster at the time. He was a minor leaguer, but was pulled up during the playoffs to serve as what's known as a black ace. A black ace is an extra player that is in town practicing with the team, does not dress, but if need be, they pop them in there if they, need a guy to fill a spot.
Yeah.
So this kid, the Blackhawks have a pretty big staff, assistants and so forth. A lot of people involved. Most of those teams do, but they had a coach that was in charge of video and, video as a tool for strategic reasons and also skills and teaching for some of these younger players. So I guess the situation arose during that time. This coach had repeatedly offered to, try to help this kid, under the guise of helping him. But that meant inviting him to his apartment, different things like this for dinner. They stay in a hotel. They don't have a place to live, basically, when they're in that status. So supposedly there was an incident that occurred at this guy's apartment, this coach, and threats were made that, A, you're going to do it, you're going to participate, and you're going to act like you like it, and B, you're not going to tell anybody, and if you're a good boy, I'm going to help you out with the head coach, because I have a direct line to Joel Quenneville,
I was going to
who
say
was
that
the head coach.
over there.
So subsequently, he told a friend of his, and that friend convinced him to further, report it to the organization. So he did talk to somebody.
When did he supposedly tell his friend at the time, I guess?
Within days.
Okay.
Yes, within days. So this friend prompted him, I guess it was a female friend, prompted him to
yes.
Report it. So he did, and ended up talking to somebody associated with the staff and or human resources. From there, it went up the line to upper management, and what the crux of this lawsuit is that he's filed previously as John Doe. Now that it's been made public, he's come out and named himself, basically. His name's Kyle Beach, but he was 20. He's 31 now. He claims it wrecked him. As far as
wait a minute, what? He claims it what?
God,
no, I've not heard of that.
Destroyed him.
Did you say rectum?
He said rectum.
Yeah,
okay, I just wanted to
I'm not trying to be a wordsmith. Okay, so
clever.
He filed a lawsuit. The other thing that's gone along with this now is after this coach was, forced to resign by the Blackhawks after the fact, he worked for other teams, including a high school team in Michigan, where he did virtually the same thing and was arrested for the act. But now it's 10 or 11 years later, and this lawsuit's been filed. He's enjoined the lawsuit. So there's two victims, basically, suing the Blackhawks. Victim number one, because of what it did to his career, and victim number two, because the Blackhawks didn't act in good, they didn't actually do anything to this guy. They just forced him to resign, and he went on to do further damage to other people. So that's why this kid's also involved in the lawsuit. But the big deal in the last day or so has been the ownership of the Blackhawks has now, all these years later, because there's a lawsuit, at some point during the last few months, they hired knowing that this was coming, they hired a third-party legal firm to do a thorough investigation internally, and they gave this firm access to everything they needed and any person they needed to get whatever information they needed. And it's 27 pages, the report. Jesus. So it's been posted online. You can read it. It's the description of the incident is quite graphic, but essentially this guy, it appears that the Blackhawks let him get away with it because they were so focused on winning the Stanley Cup. But the bottom line is the meeting that involved all the upper management people, and that was everybody but the owners.
So if I may, real fast for a second, I did see when I was at work today, I didn't know what it was about, but when I was at work today, I saw on NHL Network that the Florida Panthers had a scheduled meeting with Joe Quenneville today.
Right.
That was supposed
Joel Quenneville had a scheduled meeting with Gary Bettman in New York at 11 o'clock this morning.
I imagine it had something to do with it, right?
It had everything to do with it.
And only had to do
so
with it.
There's no mystery to this, John. What's going on is the Blackhawk ownership has dismissed and or forced the resignation of their then current president and GM Stan Bowman. But the meeting, going back to the meeting involved a guy named John McDonough, who was president of the hockey operations at the time, who was Stan Bowman's boss. Stan Bowman was just the GM at that point. But the deal with Quenneville is it's documented that he spoke up during the meeting and said, hey, we can't have these distractions. We're trying to win a Stanley Cup. And that prompted John McDonough, the president, to say, I'll take care of it. Okay, so Bowman's position is he was my superior. He said in front of everybody he was going to take care of it, and now we're here where we're at. So he resigned. Quenneville was interviewed by this firm sometime during the summer, and he denies any knowledge of what was discussed in the meeting, even though he's on record saying we can't have this distraction. Further, Quenneville celebrated this individual, this Aldrich, this coach. His name is on the Stanley Cup. He had a day with the cup, like the players do, and everybody associated with the team when they win.
Yeah.
He wrote glowing performance appraisals about this guy, about how valuable he was to the team, so on and so forth. So things don't look too good for Joel Quenneville as far as an ethics standpoint is concerned. And here's the thing that bothers me as a hockey person more than anything. The ownership basically is going to get nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
They got 3 cups. Okay. And the individuals that are being dismissed and losing careers are just that. They're losing careers. Those guys did what it took. Now I can see both sides. Okay. Those guys did what it took. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of big money associated with major pro sports.
Yeah.
And if you don't produce, if you don't win championships, you don't get the dough and you don't get the glory. So these guys, I'm not excusing their lack of oversight. But I can understand when you've got an ownership group, the Wirtz family, who says, you guys need to win the cup. You're loaded. You got everything you need to win the cup.
Yeah.
We haven't won a cup for 50 years. Get out there and do it. They're doing everything they can to do it. This comes up during the process. Some guy who thinks he's in charge says, I'll take care of it. He doesn't. The rest of the guys get flushed down the toilet too. Now, as far as Quenneville's concerned, I think he could be the most culpable of the group because he
this distraction. Then
well, not only that, the language that he used, which was insensitive.
What was the language? What was the language again?
We can't be distracted by this kind of stuff. We're trying to win a cup.
Okay.
Which is just
I have a few John, let me hear John's initial. Then I have a few questions based on what you've told us.
well,
But wait a second. Let me finish the thought, and then John can jump in.
yeah, go ahead, man.
So Quenneville is under the microscope for what is seen in today's culture as an insensitive comment.
Yeah.
Okay. They're claiming they did not know the details of the incident in graphic detail.
Fair enough.
So maybe that's the case. Maybe they didn't know everything that happened. But what's the worst part for Quenneville is he lied about having knowledge about it when he was interviewed later. So that's the part I think that's going to be the hardest for him to overcome. It's not that he said what he said. It's that he lied about saying what he said. So go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna lie. This is actual news to me. I've been trying to keep up with hockey as much as I can since the season started this year. One of the reasons I wanted to call in on the show, I used to be a frequent person on this show and even helped host the show with Faja at the break for a while. I've been incredibly busy with work and whatnot, and a lot of other things going on in my life. But so I haven't really been able to keep up with a lot of hockey news. So this is news to me. But
it's huge because the Florida Panthers are 7-0 and they look like the best team in the NHL. And if Quenneville gets the shit can, I don't know what's that gonna. So now the onus is on Gary Bettman, the president, of the NHL, the head man. What's he going to do? Okay.
Well,
now I've seen all kinds of articles today, John. I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but I'm trying to fill you in.
You're fine.
Lots of different articles from Canada to Miami to Chicago to everything that this guy's associated with. All these articles are saying he's got to go.
Yeah.
You can't let him. So typically when there's a meeting of this nature, a pending meeting, an impending meeting, if you will, with Gary Bettman about anything like this, whether it be a player or an administrator or a coach, if there's a game in between the time the meeting is set and the time the actual meeting takes place, that person usually is not participatory. Is not participatory. But and the Panthers let him coach a game last night.
Yeah, I saw that.
While he had this meeting on tap for this situation, and there's all kinds of hoopla about that they shouldn't have let that happen. They should have waited till the meeting, the results of the meeting today, which I've been looking at the news and I haven't seen anything yet. So I don't know.
So let me ask this. So they should have taken action against him without any evidence, without an investigation on their part.
Okay, so
on the league's part.
Well, I'm not sure of the protocols there, but as far as the Blackhawks are concerned, when it got to the point where it was too hot, basically, because they didn't do anything for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So what happened is when it got to the point where they had to do something, they basically said, look, dude, we're going to do an internal investigation on you or you resign. And I think that's another mistake. They shouldn't have done that. They should have just done the internal investigation and then said, hey, here's what we found out. Okay. But they gave the guy an out is what they did. And that's another thing that's going to be seen as, pretty negative.
Yeah, incredibly. And, like I said, this is all very much news to me. And, I remember Joe Quenneville's time with the Blackhawks. Obviously, who doesn't? A lot of it had a lot of success. I'm a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, so I still remember the sting of losing the cup to them that
Beating
year.
your ass.
It was 4 games to 2. We
4 games to 2. I think you had a 3-1. What was your lead? 2-1 lead.
We had a 2-1 lead, and then we blew it out.
Beat your ass.
Yeah, fair enough. But I think we've made up for it since then with 2 straight Stanley Cups. But we'll get to that later. But I never knew what to think about Joe Quenneville, but I do remember when he parted ways with the Blackhawks, being really surprised by it because the Blackhawks were coming off of a few not up to par seasons for what you expect out of them. But I remember thinking it was very odd that they parted like that because he's had success with them, and usually you don't see that happen. Even in football.
Well, I would interject that the personalities were the issue. It was an issue. It was a Stan Bowman or Joel Quenneville question, and Joel Quenneville, guys that have the kind of success that he's had as a coach. Yeah. He's number 2 all time in wins.
Yeah.
Behind the guy he quit, his dad. And Stan Bowman, Jim, just a little tidbit of trivia.
Right.
You know why his name is Stan?
Because Scotty was taken?
No, because of Stanley Cup.
Lord Stanley.
His name is Stanley because Scotty always wanted to look at a Stan. Even though Scotty won 12 or 13 cups, he named his kid Stanley. So it's kind of a unique twist on this thing. But I think, John, to go back to what you're talking about with Quenneville leaving Chicago, it was an ego thing similar to the Babcock departure from Detroit. These guys
Babcock.
These coaches, get to where they need total control, right? And there was probably some animosity between the 2 guys, because Bowman's job is to get the players.
He did bring 3 cups, so he had a place he had some standing to, he had something to back up his making a stand for that.
The other thing we don't know how much of this potentially had something to do with him leaving.
Yeah, that to me that makes a little bit more sense because I feel like, especially in hockey, when you have a coach that's producing wins, especially cups, the way that he was, I just didn't understand why out of nowhere it just seemed to come to I don't know if y'all remember. To me, it seemed very random. And now here he is with the Panthers, who historically been doing not well for a while. He's definitely making them better. Now they're 7-0 right now. To me personally, in the NHL, that doesn't mean a whole lot of anything right now. I think it's good to get off to a good start in hockey, but granted, I'm getting off subject a little bit, but they still have. He's definitely made them better. But at the same time, I just thought it was really random that out of nowhere his time in Chicago ended. All this coming to light to me right now, starting to make a little sense. I don't know how much of it really had to do with it. But
here's the other thing that goes into that kind of thing. When you see a team that is going deep into the playoffs year after year, I saw it happen to the Wings. 25 straight years in the playoffs. And many of those years, all the way. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you have a core of guys that play over 100 games a year for 5 straight years when you're the number one team in the league, like the Hawks were, everybody's trying to take a shot at you every night. I mean, players are like cars, they wear out. Okay. So it's what happens. And that's why you see guys go that you don't like to see go, because they've been part of the mix for all that time in the championships. But, you know, bodies wear out, and, you know, they need to reload. And Quenneville probably saw a little bit of writing on the wall, like, you know, we're gonna be shitty for a few years, right? Yeah. Because the Hawks they've not done a total rebuild. They've been trying to hang in there like the Wings did at the end of their run.
Yeah.
And you know, you make the playoffs, but you're out, you know, kind of soon.
In hockey, though, if I may, in hockey, though, sometimes that isn't the worst way to go about things. I remember several years ago hearing that about my Tampa Bay Lightning with Stamkos, Kucherov, and the guys that we have. I remember thinking that the wear and tear was getting on. They were always knocking on the door, but they couldn't answer it. And everybody was kind of saying that, you know, maybe this team is going to be due for a rebuild soon because these players are getting old. And they just won 2 cups in a row because they've built around those guys. The Lightning, especially last year, really relied on those lines to kind of bail them out whenever some of the star players weren't playing as well. I kind of thought that about hockey as opposed to football or especially basketball, to where every person on the ice counts, you know, whether it's, you know, somebody as big as Sidney Crosby and Stamkos or some no-name player like what used to be Braden Point for the Lightning. Is to me, it's like the ultimate team sport. So I kind of feel
if you don't have the best fourth line, if you do not have the best fourth line, you're not going to win the Stanley Cup.
Look at the Edmonton
Simple
Oilers.
As that.
The Edmonton Oilers last year had 2 of the top point scorers in the league last year, and they got swept in the first round. And I mean, as a Lightning fan, same thing happened to us a few years ago. We won 62 games that season. Nikita Kucherov had 40 goals that year. We had 3 different players with 40 goals that year, and we got swept by our old coach with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, as a Lightning fan, I never heard the end of it until the playoffs the next season.
Tortorelli.
But yeah, he was the coach for the Blue Jackets.
So back to the issue. Quenneville. First off, Quenneville. Quick answers. Is it so? I don't want to say that it doesn't matter what happened to the kid. I mean, it does, obviously. I mean, the assault is, I don't know how to say it, high priority and a shame, and the guy that was doing it needs to be prosecuted and pay a price for it, absolutely. But can you understand Quenneville's initial response?
Yes.
John? I don't know, man. His initial response of his exact words saying that, I can't deal with this or whatever.
We can't be distracted right now. We're trying to win a cup.
I can't be distracted by
that. Would be, Jim, that would be the typical answer I would expect
in any high-level sports organization.
Yeah, I agree with that. And after we talked earlier today, I started thinking about, the kind of pressure that's on these guys. And again, no free pass, but totally understandable. I guess what I was trying to emphasize is he lied about it.
Right. So I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that.
Okay.
So, John, quickly, your yes or no or whatever on his initial response in the meeting. Okay. You can understand.
I'm not gonna lie. No. I feel like when something like that comes up, it needs to be addressed. Like no matter what the situation.
So you're so I saw. Okay. So then when these things happen in, I say real life, in the civilian world, let's say outside the sport, outside the sports world, and a guy's arraigned, and so perhaps the guy they could have called the police and he could have been arrested. But my point being is, the guy waited a few days, correct, Dan, to report the incident.
Yeah.
And the
He was afraid
Blackhawks
to talk about it.
made a response to that, right, in 7-ish days from then. They were in the middle of the cup.
Yeah.
And they set so the guy, and McDonough said he would handle it. I don't know what the response was in 7 days or whatever, but in the civilian world or whatever, then a court date is set for weeks, if not months down the road. Yes.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
So I'm not all that.
Well, look,
I'm not all that shocked at Quenneville, nor appalled at Quenneville's reaction and answer at the time.
Okay, that's point number one. I get it.
Are they just going to, okay, we're out of the cup. We're done. We're out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that what we're doing? We're out of the cup?
No.
Yeah,
No. Here's the difficulty with that whole meeting for all of the guys involved that were not John McDonough, in my opinion. I have worked for major corporations. I know, a little bit about how that works, but if the guy in charge tells the guys that are below him, on the chain of command, that, of a organization that is worth, $1.5 billion, if the Blackhawks were to sell themselves, it would be 1.5 billion. What their income is on an annual basis, I don't know. But my point being, if that guy says, I'm going to take care of it, and you're his subordinate,
right?
2 or 3 days later, are you going to go back and say, did you do something about it?
Yeah. Hey, boss, did you do it? And so are you saying that gets Bowman off the hook?
I say Bowman has some plausible deniability.
Right.
There.
Agreed.
Okay.
As well as Quenneville.
What I think, but Bowman's already fell on the sword and resigned.
Right.
Okay. So Quenneville, I was just reading an article tonight before I came on the air, was asked prior to the game last night against the Bruins. The only answer he gave was, I think we can get over and get around these distractions and play the game. So it's almost the same language, right? Typical coach language. So he's shooting himself in the foot
a little bit there, yeah.
This.
A little bit there. But
So,
when he lied about it, when was that? I assume
that was this summer, 10 years later, 11 years later.
Okay. And I'm guessing that when he lied about it, was to somebody in the press, correct?
That was to the investigators.
Yeah, therein lies the issue, big time.
He denied. He couldn't remember. He didn't. He doesn't. Recall that being said. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
But it was documented. Okay. So now he's got to go back and say, okay, if I'm him and I'm in front of Bettman, I'm going to say, look, I handled it wrong. I made some assumptions that it was being handled at a higher level. In retrospect, I should have done more. I don't recall exactly what was said by me during that meeting.
Right.
If it's documented, then I'd have to, defer to that and say, okay, I said it. But during the interview with the investigator, I didn't recall it. And
so
that's how
but
I
that's
answered.
different to me. That I don't recall is a different answer than no, I didn't say it.
I'd have to go back and read the report, but I don't know if he came right out and denied saying it or if he couldn't recall saying it.
I don't think he's that stupid. He knows
He's
he
a
said
coach.
it. We remember these things.
Yeah.
A
Well,
person.
he knows he said something. Okay. And here's the other thing that goes into this thing. These guys are asked thousands of questions over the course of time, about what's the status of this player? How's this player's health? This guy, this, what do you think of this?
They are barraged.
And they are barraged, but they're very versed at being able to get around that without actually giving letting the cat out of the bag. You're not going to tell the press that Kucherov has got a left knee that's the size of a basketball, because guess what's going to happen when he gets on the ice? Somebody's going to go after that knee.
Right.
So
Are you speaking of Kucherov out 8 to 10 weeks, Kucherov?
I'm speaking of LTIR Kucherov, who's probably going to make it back in time to score 40 points in the playoffs, and they're not going to be hit with any cap issues like last year. John.
Yeah.
I believe there's a rule against that now, though, because the Lightning lost a shit ton of players this year in wake of that. Because I'm sorry, we're getting off subject again, but yeah, I mean, you're right. These coaches, they do get asked, a lot of players all the time, whether it's football, basketball, hockey. I don't think Joe Quenneville doesn't remember that, though. I mean, that's like Faj just said, you remember stuff like this. Now, I guess I do get where he's coming from in the sense that, okay, like I can't be distracted with this right now because you're expecting other people to handle this. But obviously it didn't. And so when it came back.
Okay, so here's the other, getting back to Quenneville scenario. What's plausible, what's not. Okay. So my take is he didn't take it that seriously. Okay.
Yeah, sounds like
and here's why I say that. He had a relationship with this video coach where he saw this video guy as being quite valuable to the organization and particularly to him and his staff. Okay. So there's a little bit of protective overtones here. And it's the evidence that would support that is once the cup run was over and the team, started its celebration, that guy should have been nowhere near any of that. But they put his name on the cup. They let him take the cup for a day, just like nothing happened, right? And they at least Quenneville did, okay? So, going back to your previous point, John, could we surmise that really pissed off the guys that were above him and it set things in motion for him to leave Chicago at some future date, that, he ignored what they were trying to do to deal with it? I mean, that to me, that's not an improbability. That's a definite possibility.
I really think so. And when it comes to Joe Quenneville now, the big question is, you said he had that meeting today. He still coached the Florida Panthers last night, and they're off to a 7-0 start. With all this coming to light, obviously every single member on the team knows about it. The thing is, no matter where you stand on, whether what he did or didn't do wasn't right or wrong or any of that shit, is he going to be able to still coach this team with the players' respect?
He should be.
I have a feeling.
He should be able to.
These guys are professionals, and I don't think that's an issue because they're making millions. But
we
got to play. They're going to play for whoever is behind the bench, and they don't really give a shit as much as you think. That part.
I don't necessarily think it is a big deal. I'm just curious. I was just curious of what you guys think about it, because sometimes if a coach loses, whether it doesn't matter what sport it is, if the coach somehow loses control of a team, it can have an effect on it. I don't know, and like I don't know if that could play a part in it or not, but you're probably right. It may.
Joel Quenneville isn't a coach in the category that loses a team.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So
yeah, I mean,
the other and I get all that, but we got to wrap this up because I got to get Kelly in here in a minute, who's waiting to come in. She doesn't talk hockey, so I don't blame her for not jumping in yet. But my other question about this whole situation was, and the first thing is that the situation, what this centered around was an adult man let one of the coaches dry hump him from behind and
against
nut on his back, and then he let the guy have oral sex with him. So I want to know that's what you said, right?
It was the other way.
No, the coach did it to him.
The coach performed oral sex first,
right,
on him, and then he did the second act.
Well, okay, I got him backwards. My bad.
When he did the second act, according to the kid that's filed this lawsuit, he threatened him physically with a baseball bat, which you and I talked about earlier.
He had it in his hands.
Yeah, and
he had it in his hands,
according to this kid, and basically said, "I'll ruin you for the NHL if you don't do what I tell you to do." And then when it was over, he said, "You're not telling anybody about this, or I will ruin you." So on and so forth. So this kid, we call him a kid. He was 20. Yeah, he's a grown dude. He's playing a pro sport. But how do you know how anybody's going to react in that scenario?
I know I'm not letting anybody, any dude, Jesus, fuck, go down on me or nut on me.
As happy as I am to be here talking with everybody, it sucks that it's been like 3 or 4 months since I've been on this show. And unfortunately, this is what we have. And
right.
It sucks
but
that
I'm selling. What? Hey, John, here's your chance to play in the NHL. You win? Yes or no? You win. You win on that scenario.
What's that?
Are you in on that scenario to play in the NHL?
I'm not in on that scenario for anything.
All right.
You could offer my who are opening up Maiden right now.
I'm just saying shit. I'm not trying to be insensitive, even though I guess I am. But I mean.
Okay, so the bottom line is, let's wrap this up.
Thank you.
The jury is out, if you want to call it that, on what's going to happen to Joel Quenneville, and I think there's pressure on every actor involved in this.
He should retain his job.
He might be precluded from doing that for political reasons, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, bullshit.
It is bullshit, but I've told you before,
his
NHL
boss said he would take care of it.
He's not in the court of law yet, dude. So he's got to deal with the NHL.
Yeah. I can't really comment too much more because, like I said, this is all new to me. Like, I've got to, as soon as I get off the air, I'm going to go and read this 27-page or find what I can about this 27-page document.
It's posted. It's posted online. You'll find it.
I don't know how in the hell I missed all this. Usually whenever my mind switches over to hockey is shortly around the time the NFL playoffs start, depending on where my team's at that time. I still watch it constantly and whatnot or whatever. But I usually start to really focus on hockey whenever that ends. This is such an exciting year for the NHL too, because we're going to have the winter break this year with the players going to the Olympics, which I love. That's one of my favorite times to watch hockey. So I haven't really. So somehow this news has completely bypassed me. It just makes sense now because, like I said, I just happened to kind of see it on the TV when I was at work today that Joe Quenneville had a meeting with the NHL, and I was wondering, well, over what? The season just started, Now it makes sense. That sucks.
Okay, so here's the actual quote from Quenneville.
You got 30
Okay.
seconds.
Quenneville, after learning of the Aldrich allegations, quote, shook his head and said that it was hard for the team to get to where they were at that point, and they could not deal with this issue now.
Gotcha. Okay. That's a tough
Yeah.
one. I don't know.
He keeps it. My vote is he keeps his job. John, thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate it. Good to have you back.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just gonna go ahead and call it right now, real fast. It's off subject, real fast, but I'm saying it right now. Even though I don't think they're gonna win the Super Bowl or the division, the Saints win this Sunday against Tampa Bay on Halloween.
You know who your quarterback is, right?
Yeah, I know who he is.
Okay, enough said.
Yeah, and they're 4-2. They're one game behind them.
He still
I say they win.
sucks.
I say they win this one. Mark Ingram's back with the Saints. It's a huge.
I know there's some people going crazy about it.
The locker room boost means a lot. I think we steal one game for the Bucks, but they're still going to win the division. But I'm calling it now. We'll talk about this next Thursday. Fasha, thank you. Hey, man, it was good seeing you, buddy.
Okay, you too. Take care.
All right, let me get Kelly a number. Kelly, it's on the Facebook page. It's on the post for the show. Hang on. 861-968-6589 is the number.
So how do we segue into something else there, Faja?
Just start talking.
Well,
I've still got this doctor's thing up too.
yeah. Well, we were talking about before John called in.
And it was great to see John again.
Great to see John. That whole thing pisses me off.
Well, I just read a little bit more about it. Just to
And I
throw
guess,
some more.
you know, I guess, Todd, check the, on the Zoom, would you just double check the ID? If you click on invite, it should tell you the 861-968-6589. Can you just confirm that?
Invite. It's gonna cover it.
That's
it
fine.
Just messed up. Well, I'm not on that anyway.
So here,
It says
Jim,
861.
Todd, could you text it or put it in the
I'm just going to copy the invite link, and
okay.
it's going to take me a minute, though.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say the biggest thing is, I probably misspoke a little bit, but you got the gist. What Quenneville did during his interview with his firm that was doing the investigation is he denied knowledge of any of it. He said he first learned of the allegations through the media this year.
Well, everybody believes that when Obama said it for the 8 years that dipshit was in. Oh, I found out I'm the president of the United States. I found out the same way you did when it was in the paper.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So he was an idiot for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a screw up, but he wasn't responsible for handling the situation once his boss said, "I'll handle it."
But this guy technically was his direct report. This guy worked for Quenneville.
Can we get the outsider tactical or outsider?
It has been up there.
Okay.
A bunch.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Don't act like it hasn't been up there. Okay. Here's the Zoom. I sent the Zoom link. It's in the Facebook now.
Link is in the Facebook.
Yeah.
Comments.
Kelly can click on that and get to it.
There we go. Thank you. Dan, bring me back to it. I got
What?
what was the last thing you said?
I just said that that's going to be his biggest problem is that
Yeah, it is. It is.
he denied knowledge of it.
So, I want to get back to where we were at before he called in, which we were talking about despite the 91% jabbed rate, Ireland has the highest in the EU population.
Their infection rate.
Highest number of patients in the
skyrocketing.
hospital with COVID-19 since March, despite 91% of the population 12 and over being vaccinated. They also have the highest rate of deaths and since they've been in since this, I hate the word pandemic, since this plandemic started, is vaccinated, I believe, if I read more in that article earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read that?
I didn't.
Dr. McCullough, Todd, can you bring up number 1 and let us know when that's ready?
I am admitting Kellie right now.
Okay. And then
You
we
wanna
got
play
something to
one
talk about
again?
with Kellie.
Kellie, if you want to,
Somebody
if you
keeps giving me the wrong phone number.
It's not a phone number, it's Zoom.
just click on Zoom.
Whatever
Kellie.
it is. You texted me the wrong phone number.
No, I
again.
didn't.
I will show you
Well-
later. Look at your freaking phone.
861-968-65. God dang it. I
Thank
texted the wrong
you.
thing.
Okay. Well, Kellie, if
I
you
was
could,
wrong.
Don't
Kellie-
try to prove me wrong.
Kellie, if you could do me a favor and just flip your phone do a 90-degree with your phone, because right now we'll be looking at you sideways. There we go. That's perfect.
okay.
You look wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, I've been trying to join, but it was the wrong phone number.
That must have been my fault, Kellie.
No, it's my
Is
fault.
that better?
I was
Do you
wrong.
feel better?
I was wrong. I say I'm
Okay.
wrong when I'm wrong.
Okay.
Quit trying to kiss up.
Who's kissing up? Okay, here we
Hi,
go.
Kellie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How was everybody there?
Awesome.
Good.
Did you tell Todd that you missed him last week?
He knows.
It was whatever happened, Kellie. It was my fault, though. I don't know what I did last week to screw things up. But
You weren't even there.
I know, but I did it. It was me.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
I take full responsibility.
Number 1, if you can have that McCullough one up. Kellie? Did you watch what I sent you on Dr. McCullough, or did you send it to me? You may have sent.
The latest one that's like over an hour long.
Yeah, it's about an hour.
This
It's
has
a little
been
over an
a
hour
game.
long, and he, in front of the American Association of Physicians
Yes.
and Surgeons.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I watched it.
So we got a couple clips there.
So do you want me to play one again then?
You didn't play one yet. You played 2, I believe.
No, you had me play one before.
I
Here we go. I'm playing one right now.
okay.
This has been a game. It's a big game, and it's a game that's costing lives. It's hurting people.
Okay, so maybe I did.
The public and private outrage over ineffective, unsafe vaccines cannot be loud enough. In every conversation, if they don't work and they're not safe, I'm sorry, they don't. Call a spade a spade. We don't have to sugarcoat it.
Play it one more time. I want
This
people.
has been a game. It's a big game, and it's a game that's costing lives. It's hurting people. The public and private outrage over ineffective, unsafe vaccines cannot be loud enough. In every conversation, if they don't work and they're not safe, I'm sorry, they don't. Call a spade a spade. We don't have to sugarcoat it.
I mean, that's pretty clear, right? From a respected physician with data to back it up.
Okay, so I posted that in the comments section of a post that I did about a nurse talking about how, all these doctors and nurses are having to resign or face being fired. And when I posted that link, a nurse friend that I've known for years said that Unfortunately, Peter McCullough is known to be spreading COVID-19 misinformation and is not backed by his hundreds or thousands of colleagues. He made claims that survivors cannot be reinfected, which, you know, she's saying all these other things. He proposes that there is no such thing as asymptomatic spread, blah, 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 blah. So she's saying that he is not a known
and she's an idiot because she's one of the thousands. There were 500 physicians there that he was speaking to that day, applauding him.
Well,
and we already know that it's very few that are willing to stand up against the establishment.
Right.
They run their bullshit about ivermectin day in, day out with their horse deworming bullshit nonstop. When it's the number 2.
Correct.
It's the number 2 option on the NIH website.
And I posted that also.
Right.
And
you can look it up. It's on the NIH website. And you posted another thing that you sent me another thing the other day. They started investigating and having positive results. They started investigating around, they found out in December, maybe started looking at investigating around January and having positive results in July for ivermectin of last year.
Right.
And have been denying it ever since. That is also on the government website.
Right. Oh, I think I got no response on when I posted that table.
And she's just an establishment idiot.
Well, I don't
can
like
you
to
get
call-
her
I
on?
don't like
Can
to
you get
say
her on to
idiot,
listen?
but- No.
And why didn't you give me a chance to do some responding to her?
I thought I did.
I missed that one. Dan, what do you think about on all this on the ivermectin and the, you know what, before we do it, Todd, do you have number 3 ready yet by any chance? I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I didn't know which one you wanted to play next.
Well,
so.
we played number 2 first.
Right.
And then we just played number 1. So now number 3, please.
Before you get into that,
Yep.
breaking news, Joel Quenneville is out as Panthers head coach.
Such horse shit.
Kevin Weeks reporting, and he's in. He's got an in. So I believe that.
Okay.
Who are the Panthers?
Florida, Miami, Miami.
Okay, so here we go.
I said it's pretty obvious that there has been a suppression of treatment to promote fear, suffering, loneliness, isolation, hospitalization, and death in order to promote the vaccine.
Right.
Does she, and that's, and he mentioned it in there. He talked about several doctors that he's talked to who tell patients there's no option.
That's a lie. And if you take that paper, table 2E, into an emergency room, they have to treat you with ivermectin.
And they're still running that bullshit. It's just like Rogan. Did everybody see Rogan and Sanjay Gupta?
Yeah. I saw part of it.
And something was posted earlier. Oh, shoot, it's on my phone, which I'm using. To the same doctor that treated Joe Rogan with the ivermectin has also treated 200 Congress members.
Same doctor?
Yes.
We've got
But
verification.
you won't hear about it.
Do we have verification of that?
It's on my phone.
You don't. We'll look at it later. But you know,
I would probably go to Joe Rogan's.
Their hypocrisy is just legendary, epic.
Yeah.
Laws don't apply to them.
You know, it's all about the money, dude.
Yep, it's all about the pharmaceuticals making billions more dollars.
Right. And how stupid. You know, one of the things I still believe, and I will get a lot of laughs for it, I'm sure, even on the conservative side, that 2020 has to be fixed.
It would
Or
be nice, but I think it's going to be.
what's
There's
that?
there's an article. There's an article on Real Clear Politics. Joe Rogan, Dr. Pierre Corey,
Right,
treated
Corey.
200 members of Congress with ivermectin.
There you go. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dan.
Hypocritical piles of shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what's going to
Hypocritical.
happen with these boosters is because the vaccine itself is recreating antibody dependent enhancement. That's where all these boosters are coming in, because if these people don't get the boosters, they're going to have completely depleted immune systems. So that's why if they don't get the boosters, they will not.
I'm seeing, and is that in a certain age groups? Is it more prevalent in the older you get, the heart, the bigger the older you are, the higher the effect is of that, of the.
Yes, as far as the depletion of the immune system, yes.
Because I'm not seeing, I mean, in the 30s, I know 30s that have, I mean, there's so many of the young people that have been vaccinated, and I'm wondering when they'll see that, because the majority aren't seeing anything.
Right. I agree.
Right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought all along that from Dr. Tenpenny and Dr.
Christiane Northrup.
No, Cheryl. Is it Cheryl? She was in.
Simone Gold.
No, she was in Tampa. The other lady, the older than Simone.
That's Christiane Northrup, the blonde.
No, that worked for the NIH or the.
Oh, shoot! That worked with Fauci.
Yeah. Who I think is one of the most knowledgeable of all.
Dang it! I can't think of her name. They threw her in prison.
Again?
Crap.
Before they did.
No, way back.
Yeah, way back they did.
Oh my gosh.
That the biggest trouble is going to come 3 to 5 years down the road.
Yeah, I can't think of her freaking name. Let me go on Clay Clark's thing and look it up.
So on Pierre Corey's Twitter page, he makes the comment. He didn't actually do the treatments, but he says, fun fact, between 100 and 200 United States Congress members, plus many of their staffers and family members with COVID, were treated by a colleague over the past 15 months with ivermectin and the eye mask protocol. None have gone to the hospital.
Correct. If you go to the hospital, you're going to die.
What's Pierre's? Does he give his website? If you click on his, he's the leading one of the protocol. Getting the protocol out there. My friend Conrad up in there.
I added to that, he says, I do not know the motivation for demonizing this particular medication. He added, but I would imagine some of it has to do with money because this is a generic drug now. The patent has run out and it's worth like 30 cents per dose.
The company that had the patent on it is bashing it.
Judy Mikovits.
Yeah, Judy Mikovits.
Yeah.
Look up Dr. Cheryl Tenpenny and Judy Mikovits.
Sherry,
that's what I said.
Really?
I'm always wrong. My bad. I get some of it right. But I mean, we gotta, I don't know what the best way to, obviously my get in your face ways are not the best for getting people to wake people up.
So somebody posted on his Twitter page anonymously, ivermectin is on the NIH website for treatment of COVID-19. Look for table 2E.
Right. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, any search engine or on the NIH website.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's it.
It's an easy link.
Mhm.
I have the link.
You really don't even have to type the whole thing in. It pops up automatically. But you need to print it off because at some point they're going to remove it.
Right.
That's why I printed it off.
So Kelly, I mean, we're
Yes.
covering a little bit of that, and I don't even know what to say about that. It's just, and here's the other thing about that. Independent news sources are the only place you can get any news from.
But nobody wants to believe it.
Except that Gallup just came out with a poll that said that approval rating of the media is 36%. So who does or doesn't believe it? The problem is we need approval rating at under 20% to get where we need to get.
I don't see how it can't be that low. I mean, oh my God, there's nothing he's doing right.
Listen, Gupta admitted to Joe Rogan they shouldn't have said that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then went on with Don
Yes.
Lemon hours or within a day or two. And
backtracked.
Yeah. He didn't necessarily backtrack. He just did not. He had the chance to say, you know what, Don Lemon, of course, says, well, it is used as a horse dewormer, so we weren't lying. Pound sand, Don. Oh, wait, you do.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, I mean, in the late 60s, approval rating of the media was at 70%.
Yeah.
What?
Approval rating of the media, that the actual quote was
media. Okay.
between 1968, I don't know what that was. 68 to 72. That was about it was 68
Vietnam
to 72.
War.
What's that?
Vietnam War.
Yeah. They approved of the media at about a 70% clip.
Because they were telling the truth about what was going on over there.
Well, and not only that, we didn't have all the outlets that we have now. You didn't have a million different people screaming the same mockingbird crap.
Well, that was also 11 years before the creation of the Federal Oversight of Education with the Department of Education, which I believe has precipitated everything associated with what we're seeing in the media now, because they've just been bashed for 40 years with stuff that's just out of the ordinary. So when you start seeing what's going on with the media today, it's totally plausible that these people believe this stuff.
Did that start during Reagan?
Jimmy Carter initiated the creation of the Department of Education.
Right. Mr. Southern Baptist?
Yeah.
Mr. Southern Baptist Socialist?
Reagan blew it because he didn't do something about it as soon as he took office. But
Reagan wasn't perfect. Reagan wasn't perfect.
No.
That's the difference between, I think, those of us who are constitutionalists and and I'll just use it that way, and liberals, is you'll never hear them say that Barry did anything wrong.
Well, you talk about throwing Reagan into the mix now. I'm a big fan of Thomas Sowell, right?
He is possibly my favorite American of all time.
So I saw an interview with him where the interviewer asked him about trickle-down economics, because Joe Biden is still using that language. Trickle down
language
doesn't work. Yeah. Obama used it. Nobody can define trickle-down economics because
it's
there
made
is
up.
no such thing. Yes. It's a media and political talking point of the left. So that's been in use since the Reagan days.
I'm listening to
Okay.
The Road to Serfdom by Hayek, by the way. It's good.
How far are we from there?
It's funny when you listen to that, the history of, they've been trying to pull this shit forever, always.
Yeah.
Kelly, quickly, you know what? We're going to run through the hour and a half that, I don't know if it'll restart on Patriot or not, but, and by the way, for a second, Kelly, do you follow Thomas Sowell much? Sowell?
I don't know who he is.
Oh my Lord, and you call yourself an American.
Well, if I saw him, I might know.
You
Where
know
would I
what?
find him?
Lymi, but
Where would I find him?
anywhere.
On the internet.
Anywhere.
Okay, I might know who it is. I just don't know.
Sowell.
He's widely
Oh,
published.
yes. You did. Okay. Soul.
Yeah, however,
Okay.
so I say Sowell, you say Sowell.
Okay. Yes, I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes,
mean,
I share his quotes. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
He's,
Yes.
when you,
He is the absolute antithesis of the left. He is a poor black child raised in the South. He was a poor black child raised in the South, exposed to racism most of his life, went on to be highly educated and a absolute genius when it comes to economics.
Kind of like Ben Carson.
and so the reason
Sorta.
I mentioned Hayek, because he came out of the Austrian School of Economics, which is the University of Chicago, which they used in University of Chicago back in the day, I believe. And Milton Friedman comes from that same school. And,
Watch out for anybody that comes from Columbia University.
Right. Well, you know what? I think, Dan, I don't think he was raised in the South, I don't want to say. For some reason, I thought he was in the Northeast.
Sowell?
Yeah.
Well, he may have been raised in he went to school in the Northeast.
For sure, he did that. He went to Columbia, didn't he?
Well,
was it New York University? Anyway, he was basically a communist.
Thomas Sowell?
Yes, when he got out of college.
That I didn't know.
An avid. I'd have to be clear. There's a great documentary out there, newer documentary out there on him. I think it's on Amazon, if you look it up.
Okay, so his education is the University of Chicago, Howard, Columbia, and Harvard.
Right.
And he was influenced by Hayek and Friedman. Is that why you brought those two up?
Yeah. Hayek is from Austria, and then he took a position in London at a school of economics in London. Wrote The Road to Serfdom. It's Hayek and who's the other dude who when they talk about the two schools of economics, Hayek and
Keynes.
Yeah, Keynes. So I mean, he took it. They've been trying the socialist bullshit forever. England, at one point, when you listen to the intro to Road to Serfdom, it's free. The book is free on YouTube. The whole book is on YouTube for free. But I mean, England was basically at one point a socialist country.
Right.
Until they got brought back around. And I want to say that was like in the 30s.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably somewhere in that range.
But anyway.
He went to high school in New York.
Yeah.
Okay. But he writes or had written about a book a year for 40 years.
Yeah.
So he's like pretty prolific when it comes to that. He's taught at Cornell, UCLA, Amherst, Brandeis, and Stanford. He's a senior fellow at the Hoover Institute.
Yeah, out of Stanford. The Hoover Institute is out of Stanford. I believe.
Yes.
So, yeah, we ended on patriottv.live, but we're still going strong on YouTube if they haven't banned us, if they haven't shut us off, and for sure Facebook.
Facebook. I was just sitting here looking for this group that I used to be in, and it was for people to post about vaccine injuries and stuff. It's gone. But I did find this other group I'm in, Canadians Against Vaccine Enforcement. And there's like just, which other than this group, there's posts about elderly people fully vaccinated dying of COVID. And then this one is vaccination rates have risen to above 80%, but the number of immunized patients admitted to the hospital with COVID-19 has also increased.
Yeah, everything's increasing over the pre-vaccination days.
Yep.
But you don't want to listen, do you, out there on the lefty left?
Well, I have a very sad story. My aunt called me yesterday, almost in tears, because her son called her and said that she can't come there for Christmas because she's not vaccinated. All of them are. Every single person where she was going is vaccinated, but because she's not vaccinated, she can't go.
Yeah, nice.
That's just how retarded her son is.
I know. He's pretty far on the left, but he has been coming a little bit over. But regarding this, no.
It's mind-boggling.
I can't imagine telling my mother she can't come to Christmas. I really can't.
Dan or Todd, it's on the. Would you get it ready real quick? Because I just can't resist right now.
What is it?
The girl with the long dark hair talking about being vaccinated. So why should I get vaccinated if you're vaccinated?
Oh.
No, that's hilarious.
And it's just, Dan, you tell me if you've probably heard it too, but you have to listen to it again because it's just
I think I've seen it. Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
Well, it's squirrely. The whole thing is squirrely. That's my term for it. It's like watching the squirrels in the backyard chasing nuts.
I'm telling you, we're gonna find out how. I guess my two people don't realize how strong the word depraved and parasites are.
But technically, won't this fix all of our problems if all the liberals have gotten the vaccine?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it would.
I mean,
You know what my son
But not if
said?
they.
Well, John Gold is commenting right now. John, what's up, brother? Control. He's commenting on the page.
Yeah.
okay, here we go.
Here we go.
I don't know how loud this thing is, though. So, well, heck, hold on. Let me readjust something here.
1 second, sports fans. Kelly, I love your sports knowledge.
Yeah. There's no possible way for me to care any less about sports. It's not possible.
No. Why didn't you get it? What if you catch COVID?
Restart it, Todd, please.
It's a
Did you get the vaccine? No. Why didn't you get it? What if you catch COVID? The vaccine doesn't stop you from catching COVID. Why are you being so selfish? What if you catch it and give it to me? But you've been vaccinated. Yeah, but you can still give it to me. What's the vaccine for then? It'll stop you from getting really sick and dying if you catch it. So if I catch it and give it to you, but you've already had the vaccine, it'll still stop you from getting really sick and dying. Exactly. That's why you should get it. That's why I should get it. But you got it already. But if you catch it, you could get sick and die. So by not getting the vaccine, the only person I'm putting at risk is myself of getting sick and dying? No, you're putting me at risk. Didn't you already get the vaccine, so you won't get sick and die, even if I gave it to you? But you could give it to someone who can't be vaccinated. But so could someone who's been vaccinated, because the vaccine can stop you from getting COVID.
I just love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's another one too. It's similar to that.
Well, I posted something a couple weeks ago, a personal opinion. I think that there is a significant amount of jab remorse.
Oh, yeah.
To buyer's remorse. In other words, the people that ran out and got the vaccine because they're, always do what they're told and were convinced it was for public safety purposes. There's a portion of them that are pissed off now at the people that didn't do the same exact thing. And you can see the animus towards those people by these people that have already been vaccinated. It's more, it's not as obvious all the time, but there are people out there that I got a feeling, are like, why did I do that? Why did I go to that trouble?
And they don't want to be wrong.
And they don't, and they're pissed off
Exactly,
because
Todd.
The rest of the sheep aren't going to go over the side of the cliff with them.
I have a couple of friends that are like that.
Well, it's kind of like, I'm sure you all heard whenever Colin Powell passed, what was it, last week or whatever?
I think it's been a few weeks now.
Has it been a few weeks? But, the whole thing that you heard was stories of, well, he probably shouldn't have gotten it because he was at risk. There were articles that said he shouldn't have gotten it because he was at risk. And it's like, okay, well,
I thought that was
that's who was supposed to get it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, okay.
They're so two-faced.
Well, but they're going to call his death a COVID death, even though he was compromised prior to getting
But because he was compromised, he shouldn't have gotten it.
Well, that's the whole squirrel in the backyard chasing the nut thing.
Except that they say if you are compromised, then the elderly is what it's for.
Right.
And the compromised is what it's for.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but we just got done talking about the booster being the key to future immunodeficiencies.
Right.
Did we not?
Well, I'm ready for the vaccine to do what it's supposed to do.
Which side says it's supposed to do?
What
I'll tell you, it's
Fauci
already
and them planned.
Todd, it's already doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's making billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
It's a deal the government made. People are going to call me crazy for saying this, but I think if you look at it and you go, okay, how did they get to where they are? There had to be some teamwork. Okay. So the government says, we're going to let you guys put this together and make billions. You just got to do it at the time and place of our choosing.
It's like I've said before, the liberals have always been the biggest opponents to the pharmaceutical companies, and they're the ones that's buying what they're selling hook, line, and sinker. It's crazy.
Well, and the earlier comment that Jim got by one of the listeners was control.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this about John. John has been in meetings with the aforementioned Dr. F. and they're scared to death of us, which is why they run this line of propaganda out there, because they know that they're over if we decide to stand up.
Well, of course they are, but they cannot show their fear because then they lose.
That's why they
control.
run this white supremacy bullshit out there. None of us support white supremacists.
No.
Anybody here support white supremacists?
No.
No. But that's what the media runs out there, and that's what they're running out there every day because they're scared to death of us. And now in their critical race theory BS.
Have you been paying attention to what's going on in Loudoun County, Virginia, Jim?
Yes.
Well, I haven't paid attention to it in a little bit since the parent that got, since who's the attorney general now, since the AG sicked the FBI on parents that speak out in school board meetings, and the guy's daughter that was raped. That's as far as I know that them covering that up.
Yeah, there's two things at work. There's the rape cover up. The superintendent was involved in that, and then there's the CRT issue. Okay, and so they're getting a lot of people going to these board meetings, and I was explaining this to somebody the other day. I have a lot of experience with the big school districts in Northern Virginia on the construction side. And the money in those districts is out of sight. It's over the top for what the average person would imagine for a typical school district.
Right.
But these districts there's like 5 of them surrounding Washington, and there's a couple in Maryland that fit the same mold. But to be a board member in one of those districts is a huge deal. I mean, there's a lot of politicians that have started in that realm, and because of the money, and I know it from the construction side, those people are targets of influence. So, anything's possible in those districts, believe me.
John just messaged on the Facebook feed, the budget for Loudoun is $2 billion.
Yeah. The construction budget for many of those counties used to be 500 million plus per year. Okay. In a district like Loudoun, which is probably grown at, from a capital expense standpoint on construction projects, at maybe a little faster pace because it's a little more wide open, or has been a little more wide open. People are moving out that way more so than into some of these other counties. It's out of control. And the shenanigans that go on behind the scenes with these school board members, with being enticed by entities that are trying to do work in those counties is mind-boggling. So they don't want to focus on that school board. They're doing everything they can. So that's why you saw that NSBA and all that stuff, make a push with appealing to the DOJ, and then the FBI gets involved at the behest of Merrick Garland. I don't know if you saw any of the hearings that he was involved with here recently with the questioning that he was, that they threw at him. But I mean, this is big. This is bigger than what it looks like on the surface. So they don't want the scrutiny. And that's why they did what they did with, calling in the feds to try to get the focus off these school boards because of all the bullshit that goes on.
And you know what?
And the money that's involved.
And that's when now we need to stand up more than ever.
Right. Well, I mean, there's people going to these board meetings and calling these people out by name and saying you need to resign.
Kelly, remember that video of the lady, the blonde woman, calling them out by name, and when they were up for re-election?
Oh, it's a school board, yes.
At the school board meeting?
Yeah.
She's calling them by their first name. John,
that's awesome.
You're up in 2022.
Yeah.
We're tired of you, and you're done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sherry,
hey, before I forget,
I know when you're up too.
Have you guys seen the video from today or yesterday where the guy from the FDA says, we're never going to learn about how safe the vaccine is unless we start giving it. That's just the way it goes.
Yes, I heard about it. And he was speaking. I believe it's the same one. One of my friends was texting me about it. A guy from the FDA speaking about the 5 to 12-year-old kids. We're never going to know the long-term effects until we start giving it to them.
Correct.
Are you?
Yeah.
Excuse me. All right. Allowed but frowned upon. Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
Are you parents listening? Are you still going to be the silent majority?
Yeah, he voted to approve it and said, well, we're just not going to learn about how safe it is until you start giving it. Okay, here, let my child be a lab rat.
Can you provide that for me, please? Text it to me or whatever.
Yeah, it's right here. It's on a friend of mine's.
I mean, seriously?
Mm-hmm.
You jackass parents that are letting your kids get vaccinated?
Yeah, how can you sit there and listen to that and go, oh, yeah, they're out for my best interest. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The level of incredulity that these people exhibit.
Todd, please look up incredulity.
I'm a terrible speller, so I'd never be able
But
to.
it sounds intelligent.
Well, you know the term, he was incredulous, right?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
When you question anything that these dipshits throw out there,
Yeah, you're just a naysayer. You're just a
the incredulity with which they react is astonishing to me.
Yeah.
So I think there's a tad of mental illness associated with that. When you have a guy who's an adult working for the FDA who stands up and makes an asinine statement such as that, how does that guy even have a job? I mean, where do these people come from?
That's what they want. They're just yes men.
Well, he's not an elected official. He's an appointed or some other mechanism of hiring process of the federal government, right? So that's a big issue too. Not only do we have politicians that are, so-called duly elected that are assholes, we have a shitload of politically motivated bureaucrats in the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, across the country in every level of government, from municipal to federal, that have an agenda. And that is a huge, huge issue beyond what we do with these politicians.
Who are morally bankrupt.
Yes.
No moral compass.
Well, they have to be getting a kickback of money, or else why would you do it and you would never have a clean conscience.
I was watching Kelly. I just finished for the third time all 3 seasons of a certain show.
Yes, just say it. My son's going tomorrow
Yellowstone.
to work as John Dutton.
And Dan, don't tell me that you have not watched the show yet.
Dude, I don't watch TV. You know that.
Fucking
That's
communist.
the only show I watch.
Fucking commie.
The
No,
only show.
it's. How can you say that to me
You watch
with a
Longmire.
straight face?
You watch Longmire.
Yeah, but that's when I was like, sedentary.
Oh, so I can't
Now
be
I'm not sedentary.
I can't be sarcastic with you is what you're saying now.
No, you can be sarcastic as you want, but you see how difficult it is for you when I push back.
It's not difficult at all. Anyway, Walker, Kelly,
Yes.
when Casey was taking him to the train station, he said of all the animals on Earth, we're the worst. We're the most cruel. We're the most evil. We're the most untrustworthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people are not willing to. They do not. They want nothing to do with what is really going on.
Oh no, it's too hard. It's too hard. It's too hard for them to admit that they've been believing a lie for so long, and it's just easier just to go along with the mainstream and to go along with everybody else.
Well, they don't want
My favorite quote these days is, "I got to get some new conspiracy theories because all mine have come true."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody told me this morning. Kelly, I sent you the first of that 6-part series by Alex Jones. Did you see that?
I don't know. Which the series?
It's about what? I'll send it to you. It's on Band Video or something like that.com.
Well, I mean, I watch all that stuff.
But it's gone through
the
vaccine.
Oh yes, COVID land.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't remember the name of it, but it was very good, and it opened the eyes of one of my friends. But his brother's like, "Oh, I don't listen to him because he lies all the time." And I'm like, "Says who? Who says he lies?" "Well, I know." And I'm like, "Based on what?" And he's like, well, he's just really sensational and says he tries to stir. And I'm like, "Yeah." So what you're saying is you don't like the truth because you don't like the way somebody's presenting it.
Right.
Because you don't like the way people get it out there.
Right. Today was really good. You need to go back and watch it with Mike Adams. OMG. Wow.
Alex?
It's scary. It's scary. I mean, not to me, but it'd be scary to other people.
Go back and watch it. Watch which show? Was that with Alex?
Today, Alex from today when he had Mike Adams on.
Got you.
So
Got you.
good.
Most definitely. Well, let's, we're running through the gambit and, and John is, Dan, you and John need to meet. He's in construction and does a lot of projects in the area.
You mean up in Northern Virginia?
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's still your area, right, too?
Yeah.
Okay. But Kelly, do you have in front of you the gist of the letter that was received by your friends?
Well, just from memory.
I've got it.
I've heard it numerous times.
We've heard about it happening numerous times, right?
Right. Yes. Allegedly, that people with what's the word?
Farms.
Yes, but I'm trying to think. Generational farms, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They are being contacted by the government and they're being told that they have to basically liquidate their assets. I mean, like they have to destroy their crops. They have to
Drain their diesel.
Yes, get rid of all their diesel fuel, their extra diesel fuel for their equipment. They have to get rid of their livestock, hogs, cattle, whatever the case may be, or excuse me, all of their subsidies will be removed and they will lose their farms. There'll be no more because they can't survive without the subsidies.
But
And
if they
first of
did
all,
all
to
that
me-
stuff, they would lose their farm, right?
Well,
they'll
for
pay
sure.
them. They pay them enormous amounts of money
they'll
to
make
destroy
up.
it.
They'll make it up to them. The point of it is they're supposed to be destroying their crops, destroying the livestock, that's going to go to market, whatever, because they're trying to facilitate a food shortage.
Yeah.
Or tax $2,500 per head of cattle, $1,500 per head on
Yes.
hogs.
Yes, for a hog. Yes.
So which department of the government is doing this?
I don't know. My friend is supposed to be getting in contact. She is a wedding. She does catering and wedding cakes, and she herself talked to these people last weekend. And I said, okay, you've got to either get me in contact with them or see if they'll give you a copy of the letter or whatever. I said, because I don't want to, say that I know this for a fact until I get it from the horse's mouth and or see the letter.
I wonder if it's the big ag or if it's I used to do stuff for John Deere, so that's what I wonder if it's the large ones or just small mom and pop farms that are multi-generational.
I don't know.
I think it's even smaller because I had a friend in Ohio who was not growing. I mean, they're getting paid to not grow anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell, that's what he does.
Okay, so
and they'll buy land.
Right, that's what Mitch McConnell does. He has farmland in Kentucky that he, gets paid to not farm.
Yeah, well, there's always been, for many years, there has been the CRP program, which is a set-aside program where they call it conservation reserve. And what they do is they go to these farmers that would grow agricultural, crops and say, hey, we'll give you $20 an acre this year to not grow wheat or to not grow corn or whatever. And some of those programs last for many years. And I know this because I used to hunt in Iowa. And what that evolved into was you had a lot of farmers that actually made more money doing that and not just, not wearing out their equipment. And it was to control the food supply, essentially. And that's been going on for some time. That's called the CRP program. So there is a model for that. Now I'm looking at, I just Googled what she was talking about, and there's some articles in here about, there's some saying no, the government, the USDA is not doing that, and some say, which I haven't got to read all of it yet, but it's on the internet. This topic is on the internet. And it's recent, within the last couple months. So,
well, and this is all on top of the fact that Bill Gates has been buying up just millions of acres of farmland, and the Chinese Communist Party has been buying up millions and millions of acres of farmland.
I suppose we're paying those pieces of shit too.
Well, okay, so here's an article.
I hope not.
Here's an article. It's not been vetted, but this is from April. And it says, the Biden administration will pay farmers more money not to farm. Okay, that's the title. It's the headline. The goal is to add 4 million acres of farmland to the CRP program which takes land out of production to blunt agricultural's environmental. They're calling it an environmental impact. Okay. So if they do something like this to a higher degree, that's the justification. They're going to say, there's too much runoff.
The soil.
There's too much runoff. It's too much erosion. We're destroying wildlife habitat, this kind of crap. Okay. So the Department of Agriculture rents, according to this article, in quotation marks, about 21 million acres of farmland, typically for 10 years at a time. They call it a tiny fraction of the overall, total land farmed in the country.
Of course
so
they do.
Maybe that's, being optimistic. Maybe that's what this is a, increase in the amount of, conservation reserve. But
however, this is at threat of a penalty for not doing it.
There's no discussion about livestock in any of these articles. Okay.
They fart a lot. It's true. Got to reduce the footprint.
So anytime the Democrats are in charge, and this is historically documented, they go over the top on regulations. All regulatory stuff just picks up speed. So this isn't something that should surprise anybody that's paying attention.
And then what happens when the Republicans have the House?
They ease up.
They don't do shit to help us. They pretend that they're going to do something. They don't do shit.
Well, here's the way I see it from a pretty basic standpoint. The Democrats regulate the shit out of Americans, and Trump tried to control the offshore assholes. Okay. So the focus is always on the U.S. citizen and what they can do to blunt whatever's going on from an economic standpoint when it comes to the Democrats. And it could be said that it's the opposite when you have a very conservative government. So that's what I see as the difference.
The attack, as John mentioned a few minutes ago, is on the middle class, destroying farmers, right, small businesses to create a crisis, and they've killed over 100,000 small businesses with their pandemic.
Well, they've killed the restaurant business. It's nationwide. If you drive across the country, you're going to see the same thing from town to town to town. Restaurants are closed. They can't get the help, whatever the issue. We've got less places like that, in business. So now if you cut off the supply, you're just adding to that scenario. And people, the average person has no clue as to what the supply chain looks like for groceries in this country. A supermarket in your town has 3 days worth of food and goods based on their turnover. Okay.
At any given time.
So if the truck is every 6 days, there's 3 days where there's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's real right now.
Right.
So transportation is in this mix too. And all we hear about is the shortage of truckers and shortage of rigs. And, this, that, and the other thing. So it's a multi-pronged approach to mitigate, the food supply, the prepared food scenario. It's all in the mix. Small business. It's this last 18 months. If people haven't seen how precarious the situation is at this point, they're never going to.
This and I don't know if you said it out loud, but this supply chain crisis, as John mentioned in the chat, is created, manufactured.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm just looking at a thing here too. It says Biden's tax plan includes provisions to tax increased value of farmland. This will force multi-generational farmers to sell their farms to big corporations to pay the tax bill. The result will be more centralized control of the food supply.
Yeah, that's one step away from the government control of the food supply, because they'll do the same goddamn thing to the corporations. That's all they ever talk about.
I don't know. Will they? Will they to the large corporations? That crony capitalism is why these lefties are capitalism sucks. It's the cronyism that's in our political system that they're part of the elites, the big corporations. They'll be centrally managed. The
corporate farms. What are they going to do if the government comes to them and says, just like they did to these landowners, your tax rate is just tripled?
It depends on how much money they've got, because look at the pharmaceutical companies are running the government.
But what does that do to the cost of food?
Skyrockets.
Of course.
It already is.
So you've got a crisis now, a manufactured crisis of food costs that's out of sight. So now you got the government stepping in with a solution. Hey, we'll just give everybody an extra $2,000 a month for food.
We'll be eating Soylent Green.
Where is that coming from? Where's the money coming from? Hello?
The printing press.
It's so stupid.
It's coming from the printing press. Nothing backs it.
Okay.
Idiocracy.
All right. I just stumbled across something. Executive Order 14008. It's the executive order tackling the climate crisis. So that's where all the stuff is listed that they're going to do. So we need to study that over the next couple of days.
What's the executive
climate
order?
Crisis is the
Executive Order 14008. Tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad. And this gives you all of the all the things that they're going to put into process, all the new jobs they're creating to carry this out.
So as
government jobs.
As John said, they're manufacturing this crisis because they're looking for a revolt, which is what they want us to take up arms. And the reason that we can't, from other places I visit and tune into, the reason that we can't do something about it yet is we can't let civil war happen, because then martial law happens. And then they can really put the hammer on us. So we have to get a high enough percentage of people to stand up and be awakened the right way, not woke, awakened, 80% of them, to avoid a civil war when we stand up.
Yeah.
Well, that's the racial politics component, Jim. They can't let go of that because that's what they'll blame it on.
Right.
And they'll call it a civil war.
It's the division that they're sowing the division. And we've got to get above it, and we have to figure out how to communicate the fact that their BS about us is a lie.
whatever the reaction from the American public, it will be characterized in a way that will allow them to take stronger steps.
Right.
So if it's a revolution, you're talking about martial law.
That's
If
why
it's
we
a
got to have a
civil
high
war,
percentage.
If it's a civil war, it's martial law. I mean, they have methodically reduced and cut down on the ammunition supply available to the public for the last 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is a chess game at the nth degree.
Yeah.
And and the thing about it is, these sons of bitches can wait. They've been trying this shit for 100 years. What's another 10 years?
Kelly, you sent me the Rachel Ham with Juan,
Oh yeah.
and he was talking
Yeah.
about the transfer of money to offshore
Uh-huh.
because
I
they
can't
know
follow all that.
we're
That
getting
is like-
close. We're getting closer to being able to do something about it because they're transferring a lot of money.
I mean, that trail was just crazy. I mean, crazy. Yeah. I
Well-
would have loved to have been at that conference.
Right?
Wow.
The silent majority people, the silent majority, we got to win over a few at a time, one here and there, whatever, each, to help them realize what's up. A lot of people agree with us, but they won't say anything.
Well, a lot of
Right.
people agree with what we're saying, but the disconnect is the peril aspect. They just cannot wrap their brains around the concept that this is going to turn out bad. They have a belief that somehow, some way, no matter what kind of shit we're seeing right now, it's all going to work itself out. That's the attitude that I get when I talk to
It's too
people.
far gone. It's too far gone.
They don't see it that way because they haven't been totally, they haven't been put out of their comfort zone.
Yeah,
yet.
they're not out of their comfort zone. As long as they're not out of their cushy little comfort zone, then it's what? You
The
know.
thing is, it's just going to get to the point where it just all happens in one day. And it's just going to be crazy.
Well, if there's a socioeconomic collapse, you've heard me say it before, and the money system is destroyed or,
We'll all have Bitcoin.
something. I mean, no. And the food is going to be the issue.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's going to be all out chaos, and it's not going to
Yeah.
take very long. And millions of people are going to die if it gets
Oh,
to
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you think this 700,000 they're talking about with COVID? They would wish that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Yes.
a lie.
You're talking half the population. And it won't take long. It won't take long. If there's chaos, total chaos, which is how I see this going, I don't see it being able to be controlled without total chaos first.
Mikovits,
If it gets to that, then there's no going back. It's not going to be. It's going to be, like I've said before, decades.
Oh yeah, John.
Yeah, because that's when people are going to be easily controlled because they're starving.
Yeah,
Well, that'll be part of it, but eventually that'll all go away too, because the security of the country will be at severe risk. I mean, from outside forces.
Oh, yeah.
So not only would we have a scenario internally, we would have to deal with whatever's coming at us from offshore.
Mm-hmm. Which looks like it's getting closer too.
Yeah.
You know, John
With
makes
all
another
the-
good point. He said, follow the money, pull back the curtain. It's the elites that run this country. No armed revolt required. We need to start focusing on the supporting corporations. Start boycotts. Dollars is the weapon we need to use.
Well, now, have you heard where all of these the companies that are woke get better? It's kind of like
Tax credits?
it's kind of like stock ratings. So it
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I forget,
Yes.
y'all should, if y'all don't listen to No Agenda, it's a podcast that I'll put a thing in the.
It's a good
Laura,
podcast.
is it Laura?
No.
It's
Laura Logan?
it's John C. Dvorak, who was a tech writer back for years and was on Tech TV and ZDTV, and Adam Curry, who was an MTV VJ, and the two of them. It's amazing their network of people that send them stuff, and then they just talk about it twice a week on Sunday and Thursday, and
Kind of like truth slingers.
yeah, I mean, but they have just like this huge network of people that send them content across the world, and I hear stuff that I don't hear anywhere else, and that's one of the things that they've brought up in past shows. I don't know about today's show, but it's just a really good place to find. It's a long show, but it's something that I, put on when I'm cutting the grass or doing something. But anyway,
It's a
Hey,
good
kids,
show. I've
It's
listened to a
been
few
real. I got to cut out.
Get to bed, old man.
Yep. Thanks.
Get some sleep. Love you, brother.
I'll try.
thanks, Dan.
Love you too. See ya. See you guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. I got to figure out how to get out of here.
Yeah, I got to figure out what it's going to do whenever
We'll
you
get
do.
rid of you. Don't worry. Todd,
Okay.
cut him off.
Okay, there we go.
Kelly, thank you
Yeah. You're welcome.
for providing a little beauty to the show. Making up for
And
Dan.
not brains?
Can you let me finish? That you know what? You get a compliment and you don't like it. And it's just not enough. And it's just not enough.
Sorry. Yeah.
I appreciate the input. I know you're busy.
Oh.
You do a lot of great research. I appreciate that. If you ever get on to listen to some of the other shows on PatriotTV.live, like Truth Slingers, they do Sundays and Wednesdays, I believe, and that's Beard Vet, that's Beardo and Kenny, and a lot of times Rampage. I don't know. Whenever I've watched Rampage, it's been on. And it's funny, Todd, you're talking to Dan about sitting still. Rampage I think he does it from his phone, and he goes back and forth from inside to outside to smoke a cigarette.
Oh, really?
Yeah, walking down the hallway of his house and out the back door and the whole thing. It's kind of funny. But
Do I have to sign up for that? I just typed it in.
Well,
And it said log in.
It would be, I don't know if you have to do it per show. If you sign up for one, you can get them all. You do need to sign up to, you can look at the shows, I think, without signing in. You need to sign in to comment as yourself. But we will be, that Patriot TV .live will be a subscription based, like $2.99 a month, $30 for the year, just for the subscribers that will help us with some of our costs on our end to help support us.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm looking at that now. Quarterly.
But Truth Slingers, Rob Manis, the real Matt Couch,
Bob and Eric Save America.
Yeah, they're good. Eric, they're great. Yep.
Okay.
But
I'll check it out.
all good shows, and there's part of the beardvet.com deal. The
Yes,
coffee guys, it's his platform. He's been very successful there, and this will be a success as well.
Okay.
And a shout out again to Outsider Tactical, outsidertactical.com. Hunters, preppers,
What did you say? Tactical?
Outsider Tactical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, get your. So Scott, if you can hear me, tell me if you can hear me. The reason you're only getting audio right now and no video is because we have an hour and a half set aside with them, and we are at about 2.5 hours right now. So
My God.
it has to start over, and we'll talk about that. But they probably would like some. We're at 2 hours and 20 minutes, but we'd probably like some. The last month was sporadic for me. I was at my son's wedding in Baltimore and did some other traveling and Kelly, one thing I wanted to mention to you before we left, because I wanted to bring it up earlier, but you have one of those, that pile of poop emoji.
Yes.
You know you have a real big one in your state, from your state.
What is it?
You have a person in the government from your state.
Oh.
That is one of those emojis.
Yes. You talking about Eric Holcomb?
No. Our former illustrious vice president, who's a traitorous, who's a traitorous pile.
Uh-huh.
He's just like to me, he's even worse than Southern Baptist Jimmy Carter.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got a lot of problems here because I don't know if I already said this. I may have said this to my friends that are here visiting. Allegedly, the Attorney General had filed a injunction saying that we were not going to allow these businesses to force the vaccine mandate. Well, so come to find out, that actually did nothing. And when he was questioned about it, he said, well, the state representatives have to handle that. So my lovely John Jacob tried to file one yesterday, and they turned it down during the special session. So we don't allegedly have one.
Amanda.
So anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, no, we don't have the injunction saying we're not going to allow the mandates.
Right. I talked to one of the person from my district, the representative from my district, and she's like, well, and I'm trying to figure her out completely because I have some other complaints about her. Her name's Michelle Saltzman. Actually one in particular, but I would give her a chance to defend that or to talk about that. But, which makes sense in that they're for, private business being able to do things the way they want to do them, or being able to run their business the way they choose to run their business. So by saying, we're kind of doing the same thing by saying we're outlawing mandates means they can't do with their business what they want to do with their business.
Bull crap.
You can't see that side of it. What if a business says, I want to mandate it?
If a private business says, I want to mandate the vaccine.
A private business, yes.
Well, but what is considered a private business? Is a hospital, is UPS, is FedEx?
Yep. I mean, they have to pay the consequences. Delta's saying they're not going to do the mandate, but Southwest is.
Are you talking about employees, or are you talking about customers that would come into a place to store?
Mandating employees.
Okay.
Because that's what we preach. We preach that freedom to run our business
Right.
the way that we choose to run our business.
Technically, I think they should be allowed to.
Technically, can you see that, Kelly?
Because
Yes. So then you're not going to have any employees, but whatever.
Right. So, yeah, you don't have employees.
Or
So-
you mandate it
But-
and they all die and you don't have employees either.
And eventually you don't have employees.
Well, but
As
here's
a-
the thing, though. So the grocery store mandates the vaccine, and then half their employees quit. So then you can't go and shop for groceries. And then, but here's the thing, though. If they're going to mandate the employees, then it's going to come to the point where they say, well, now you can't come in here because all of our employees are vaccinated. So we have to protect our employees. So now
But they're vaccinated.
nobody else can come. Yeah.
But like Publix here,
No, that's
I
not
would,
how it works.
but I would guess Publix here, big in Florida. I don't know where else is Publix. I think Publix is on the East Coast too. But they won't.
Yes,
They
they're in
don't.
Georgia.
They don't invite. I would guess that they're not mandating their employees.
I don't know.
Do you know why I say that too? Because I was so happy on the way to Easter dinner with my daughter's in-laws to try and stop at Publix to pick something up, and it was closed on Easter Sunday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? But
Yes.
don't worry, Winn-Dixie's open.
Well,
So-
they're racist.
I found that encouraging that Publix was closed.
Yeah, that's nice.
But listen, Kelly, Todd is, I didn't get to
I'm fine. I'm fine.
but I want to let him get on the road. But maybe next week we'll talk, Todd, about some of the good things you mentioned to me earlier today, that he works for a school district. And he said he and another or a couple other teachers were having great success with their kids because they were running their classrooms and treating those kids like they would raise their kids. And I thought
and they're
that
letting them?
they're treating their kids in their classrooms like they would raise their kids.
Right. But I said the school system is letting them?
Yes.
Wow.
And that's what I've said all along. It's been my contention for a long time that people don't vote the way they raise their kids. A lot of people don't vote the way they raise their kids. Discipline, personal
know.
responsibility, respect for adults,
Oh,
making your own
okay.
way,
Yeah.
respecting your elders, all that. And then they vote for entitlements,
The total freeload. Yeah.
for no personal
Mhm.
responsibility, for freeloading.
Right. Right.
Kelly, love you, mean it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's getting past my bedtime too.
We're going to wrap it up. You're Dan and Kelly are both East Coasters, even though I don't get that in freaking Indiana, Eastern time zone. But I
know. Yeah.
guess my latitude, our latitude must be a optical illusion or something. Where I'm at and
because
where
it seems
you're
like
at.
It's straight down.
Right.
It's straight down. Doesn't make any sense.
At all. But listen, thank
No.
you again. See you soon, I hope.
Okay.
And have a great night and a great weekend.
Everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Todd, behind the board. Awesome as usual, despite my idiocy.
The long suffering.
The no thanks job of Todd Cooper. The no thanks given. But there is, Todd.
I know there is.
I love you,
I know
mean
there
it
is.
too.
Yeah.
That felt uncomfortable. But all you guys that listen in, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. We'll see you next week on and hey, PatriotTV.live. Listen to them and thank you, Beard Vet. We'll see you guys all. Hear you guys. See you next week.
And I've got one more thing to play. So go ahead.
Are you going to play the Colonels?
I am.
All right, yeah. Hey, even if you can register for this run, guys that are listening, even if you can register for the run, Semper5.5k.org. Semper5.5k.org. Just go register for the run no matter where you're at. We'll get your t-shirt to you somehow, or if you don't care, I don't know, it's $30 or something like that. We're trying to get 500 runners. But even if you can't run, if you could sign up to run, it would be a great and much appreciated donation. And Todd produced this video. If you need video stuff produced, and I'm sure he can do things long distance and everything, because he pretty much did this one that way. Get a hold of him and let him earn some money. It's a fabulous video.
The charter of the Marine Corps League is to help veterans in the local community and also helps a community that supports active duty training in the veterans, so giving back to that community. So in 2014, we picked up the leadership for this Semper Fi with our partnership with TEL, Semper Fi 5K Run, which is a one-day charitable event for 6 local children's organizations to give back to the community that supports our veterans, also supports the active duty training. New Horizons of Northwest Florida helps disabled children realize a normal life. They provide schooling and education and creative initiatives for disabled children, either
because it's muted.
mentally or physically disabled.
Because we're muted.
The Westgate Escambia School is